and welcome to The Vine. This is Season 4, Episode 4. This is not your familiar face as a host. My name is Melina. Usually I am the sound person behind the scenes, but today we've had an unfortunate series of events, and our hosts are either at work or sick. So I'm here today, but I promise you I'll be just as good. And with me today, we have two very special guests. If you'd like to introduce yourselves.
Hi, I'm Bob Dubé, former Dawson student from way back when, and yeah, that's me.
Yeah, and I am Ella. This is my dad, so yeah, and I'm also the DSU President, so yeah.
You kind of failed to mention, while you were here, you were also a part of a very cool production.
Yeah, I was part of the radio station, CFKS Radio Selby, going way back. Started there in 1978, so that's quite a few years ago, maybe more than I would like to say. Anyway, it was a really cool club. We started in an old building on the corner of Green Avenue and St. Antoine called the Lucas Building, and we stayed there for about 2 years, and afterwards we moved to the Selby campus, which was on the corner of St. Antoine and Rose de Lima, right where you come off of the highway. The building is right there. It was a very interesting time. I made a lot of good friends, learned a lot about myself, and I was given a great opportunity to, develop some self-confidence and exercise some creativity that I probably would not have otherwise been able to do. So, yeah, I'm grateful for it.
That was a very long intro, but yeah.
Well, that's fine. That's what we're here to talk about. That's
why
he's
very, very passionate about the radio station that he used to be on. I think that growing up, that's all he would talk about. That's all I know. I don't even know anything about, him at McGill or anything, just Dawson. That's all he does.
Oh, well, I think that's cute, personally. I think that's awesome.
Yeah.
So, can I ask more specifically, what did that look like for you? What did your kind of day at the radio look like?
The radio station, we had a lot of funny characters there. There was myself. We had this guy, Doug Beck, who sadly he's not with us anymore, but he became my best friend. From that, we developed a DJ business together, so we became well known. We had different cultural groups. We had the Jamaican, student association. They would come in and they put some shows on. We had people who liked disco. We liked rock. There was jazz. We've had some news people coming through there. Some of them have moved on to professional careers. On a day-to-day basis, it was a great place to hang out and meet some really good friends. It was really good. Yeah, I really enjoyed it.
I'm glad you had a great time. That kind of reminds me of The Vine, right? We're here today as kind of living on the Dawson Radio's legacy. This is kind of what it has evolved into. Now it's a podcast and not a radio, but it's a very similar feeling. It's getting to meet here with a bunch of cool people, putting some episodes together, and just having a great time with some cool people. So,
yeah, absolutely. We'd go into the club room, and there was always something going on. If you just wanted to hang out and somebody was spinning records. In those days, we didn't have computers and things like that. Everything was vinyl, kind of like this here. In fact, that record up there was one record that I would play often, Ian Hunter. There was a bit of a rivalry between rock and disco in those days, because this was a time of Led Zeppelin and glam rock with David Bowie and all these super bands, but coming up from pop culture was the disco scene. This was a time before AIDS. There were no cell phones, there were no computers. Everything was really, really analog, and there were a lot of young people around at the time, okay? So you look at Dawson College, it was jammed full of people. Everybody smoking cigarettes and, being kind of crazy.
Well, I mean, we're still pretty jam full of people. I mean, we don't have enough space to go, but the cigarettes, not as much. I mean, we have the signs now in every single class.
Well, we used to smoke in class, for God's sake. It was crazy. But you go to the radio station, and there was always something to do. When we moved from the Lucas building over to Selby campus, we had to build the studio. So we'd show up there early in the morning, get some planks of 4x8 plywood. We built the recording studio, mounted some tape decks, built the on-air studio, and work with the technicians to make sure it was plugged into the cafeteria. I would go in there and do a lot of recording in the production studio. We'd put music beds together. People would come in and share ideas. People were cutting commercials. We were looking at records. We had a subscription to A&M Records, and all the new releases would come in, so we'd sit down and we'd listen to them.
Mm-hmm.
And then, of course, there were a lot of good parties as well. We had a good time.
That's awesome. So I would love to compare that then now, hearing all of your father's experience. What's your life like at Dawson nowadays?
Well, we don't have a radio station, that's for sure. I mean, I feel like that would be a bit better, but I think one thing that he had that we didn't really have was the whole split campus thing. He's talking about Selby campus, everything for us is on one thing, so I mean that's definitely something that's different.
We do have the forum.
We do have the forum, but it's
not as far.
It's not the same.
Nice.
It's because the forum, it's that's just where people go to hide sometimes. I mean, I've hidden in there before too, but no. But I'm trying to think. What is different? I mean, I think one thing that's always consistent, and with all of the teachers that I've talked to that used to be here in the past, all those teachers there was always the same Dawson spirit, so I feel like that's probably something that's not really changed much. One thing that is interesting, did you guys have the student union back then, or was just that not a thing?
No, we had the student union.
You had the student union?
Yeah, we did. We had the plant, we had the radio station, we had student services. We had many of the things that you have now. We didn't have podcasts, obviously.
Yeah.
But
Did you guys have I guess you guys were a club. Were you guys considered a club?
yeah, we were a club. Yeah, absolutely. But we were really tied in with student services. They were very supportive of us. Our club had about, I'd say, probably 40 members, on an ongoing basis. And the other thing we did is we DJ'd, all the parties. So when there was a dance, we'd take over the cafeteria.
You guys have dances? I mean,
oh my God, yeah, all the time.
Really?
Sure, sure.
I've looked through past things. There used to be clubs that would do dances that were pretty successful, but I mean, nobody really does that as much anymore. It's more I'm trying to think. We have networking events with
Yeah, we have a lot of festivals and stuff,
Yeah.
which is fun. There's always different musics playing.
Yeah.
I think even right now we have some sort of sale going on with music playing constantly.
I mean, honestly, I know that Banya has a DJ club. I think we should bring that back. Maybe they'd have party stuff. But I mean, the Legacy, they throw great parties. I think that's the one club that every single year there's one big event that they do, and that's the closest thing we get to a party, and so I guess that's our.
Well, the radio station would plan a dance. There was a dance at the beginning of the year. There was a Halloween dance. There was a Christmas dance. There was a huge volunteer appreciation night, and me and my friend Doug would be the DJs. So we'd go to, at the time, the Windsor Hotel. The school would take that over. We'd be DJing all of that. And then if there were any special, parties people wanted to have, they would call us up, and then we'd bring out the records and the equipment, and we'd go and DJ all these things. So yeah, it was a really good time,
Maybe we should bring that back.
Yeah,
Can we
honestly,
bring
maybe,
that back?
I guess, but I mean, who's paying for renting out a hotel? Like,
Well, you don't have to
is it
rent
fine?
you don't have to rent a hotel, but you could do it in the cafeteria. That's what we did.
I mean, yeah.
Maybe.
It was insane. We would have like 600 people, at these dances. Yeah, it was really, really good.
They were popular then. I think they'd still be popular now.
Yes.
I
I mean,
so.
I think the issues that a lot, I feel like most students just aren't engaged. Like, they come here and then they leave. I feel like that's one thing maybe you guys had on these smaller campuses. You had more of, like, kind of a community going on. I feel like that's definitely part of it.
Well, I think the other thing is that this was an accepted medium in those days. There were
Yeah.
dances all over the place. There were, in general, if you look at the demographics today, the population is much older than it used to be. So there were younger people. There were clubs all over the place, and we weren't as engaged. We had no social media. We had no cell phones.
Yeah.
Right now, I go on a trip around the world, and I could, send her a text and get a response in seconds.
Yeah.
There was none of that, people had to get
Yeah.
together. So I think that's probably part of it. You guys are connected in a different way today
Yeah.
than we were back then.
Well, I mean, like, you look at because I remember you were showing me stuff from, like, your radio shows back in the day. So you guys used to do, like, the announcements of, like, stuff on air live. Whereas, like, for us, like, everything's on social media. Like, we're making posts. Even, like, the school is making posts about stuff. Whereas, like, I mean, like,
Right.
maybe we should bring that back. We should ask them if we can, like, tap into the speakers. I know they have them. Like, I've seen in, like, various, like in, like, the 8th floor lounge area.
Yeah.
There's, like, little speakers in the ceiling. So clearly, it works. And, I mean, if there's, like, I don't know, an emergency or something, I guess they use those. So it's, like,
Probably.
probably.
Well, we had the daily bulletin, so that I would go to the radio station. I'd grab my copy of the daily bulletin. If there was a recent edition of The Plant that came out, I would take that, and then as I was preparing my show, I'd go through it and highlight what I wanted to do. There was a phone in there. If I wanted to get the weather, I had to call the weather office, and they would tell me, what the weather was going to be. And so I'd play a couple of songs, do the mix, and then as I would come out of the song, I would pull up the daily bulletin, and I would, say, okay, this club is going on. I was just listening to one, it was incredible. I mean, 4-day trip to New York City, bus both ways, with 3 nights in the hotel, $115,
I mean,
absolutely insane.
The school here, we do, like, I've seen every now and then there's, like, random trip things, but they're, like, in the thousands of dollars.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
oh yeah. Anyway, so that's what I would do. We'd get that, but everything was, printed paper. You wanted to read the news, you wouldn't pull out your phone and read it like I was just doing. It's like you have to go down and buy the newspaper.
Well, I mean, we still have those, but it's, like, it's the monthly edition of the plan.
Yeah.
It's not as recent and especially, like, the school, they're always, like, on, like, they don't want paper because, well, I mean, we don't want to print more paper, but you don't have the physical medium as much, so.
Yeah, it's not as personalized.
Yeah. I mean, we have our version of the bulletin, what's it called, like the Dawson Insider that
Yeah,
they send
yeah,
us
yeah.
on our Omnivox Mayo.
Yeah.
I mean, you guys didn't even have that. Like, how did you guys do class registration? Now that I'm thinking of this, like, you know,
For registration, so we would go to Place Bonaventure. There was a huge room, and then you had these cards, and you'd have to go from one station to the next, and you'd fill out your card. So, you had a schedule that you thought would be workable, and then you get to your class after waiting in line, and it's like no room left. So now you had this hole here, and you'd have to go redraw your entire schedule or whatever holes didn't fit, and try to find another course. We had a book called the Academic Calendar that you would open up and then say, okay, I need a 201 geology or something, and okay, where's it going to be? Does it fit in my schedule? Yes, great, and you'd go. And if you were lucky, no problem.
So the process of making your schedule doesn't seem super different from what we do now. It is just online now.
I feel like, imagine course change. Like, people are, like, crashing out over, like, not getting into their section, and, like, we have it on our phones. Like, we can do that, like, any time of day. You have to go to, like, like, that's like us going to the Concordia bookstore right now, which, just to say, hate going to the Concordia bookstore.
I agree with that.
But it's like having to, like, go metro stop, but you have to, like, switch to, like, did you guys have a metro at that point? And did you have the metro?
Yeah, the metro opened in 1967.
Okay, so at least you had that. Imagine. Well, I mean, Stage Up's only started in '67, so they didn't have to do the bus thing before that. But I guess for university, they
I
probably
could do the bus thing for sure. I took the bus from Lachine. It took me an hour to get down here.
Oh, well, no, it takes me an hour.
It's insane.
You live in the same area that we still
Pretty
live
much,
in.
pretty
so
much. But you have better
it's-
transportation now. Anyway,
Oh, I disagree with that. My bus never shows.
but getting back to registration, you know, you'd get a letter and it would say, okay, you have to register on this date.
Yeah.
And if you were like a first-year student, forget it. You're probably not going to get what you wanted, you know?
I mean, I guess that's the same.
That's
like,
still the same.
My
Like-
schedules were so messed up because I came here. I was like, I switched programs, switched school in the winter semester, so I had like very limited options, all like messed up, scattered times. So like I wasn't able to get like anything, and it was just like, oh, like I had like 8 a.m.s all across the board, and like ending at like 4, like 6.
Yeah, we had that too, but we'd spend a lot of time, we had a lot of friends at school because, you know, many came from the same high school. In those days, your high schools were pretty much neighborhood high schools, okay? So you had a Catholic school, a Protestant school, and all the Catholic students would be from the local neighborhood, would go to this school, and once they came out of high school, they would go to what, to CJEPs, you know, you had Vanier, you had Dawson, maybe Champlain, not so much. So you brought a lot of friends with you, you know. And then we would spend an enormous amount of time playing cards. So we got really, really good at playing cards, and that's how we passed the time, you know.
Instead of doom scrolling on different social media apps.
I mean,
None of that.
I used to play cards sometimes, like in previous semester, but I mean, I think most of my time is like spent like panicking about like finals and stuff. I think my third semester, oh my god, I was taking like a physics class that I just like could not pass. So I mean, I think that's a lot of students spend their time. I mean, the cafeteria, either like chatting with friends or you're like panicking in the library. That's like your two options.
Yeah. I find myself a lot just like in Conrad's or wherever, just listening to my music and trying not to panic over whatever I have coming next.
No, but see, unpopular opinion, I think the cafeteria, specifically during the final session when there's less people, that's the best place to study. I hate the library.
Like the third floor caf or the second floor?
The second floor, like where the windows are, so you get like sunlight beaming in so you don't feel as like depressed about like your finals.
Well, apparently neuroscientists have found that, you know, if you study in a coffee shop with that random noise, it's probably one of the best places to study. You know?
So off topic.
No, well, I would say your cafeteria is probably like a coffee shop, you know?
Oh, I guess so. I mean, the coffee's just not very good. Because you guys were split campus, how was your coffee?
We had the worst coffee around, but at least, you know, it gave you a kick in the morning. I mean, we'd get up there with these styrofoam cups that were just absolutely terrible. And we had these 2 Italian ladies in the back who made the coffee. They made great grilled cheese sandwiches. But it wasn't that good. And
I mean, we have like what, Van Hoot or whatever.
We had you know, the cheapest coffee beans around.
Yeah.
I love just picturing all of this, like as you're talking about it, what it would have looked like back then to just walk through those halls. Because even like there's some major things that are different, like the technology nowadays.
Totally.
But there's so many smaller things as well that just walking around, how different would it be? Like the fashion is so different. The fashion now compared to then. What do you think of the fashion nowadays?
Nowadays, I don't know. I mean, it depends, you know. People dress like that. I used to wear jeans and, you know, a jean jacket and worky boots. You don't see that so much these days. You know, guys wearing toques like Antoine over there, not so much. I don't really see that much of a difference, really. I mean, you know, sure. You got different fashion influences. You got, you know, quick fashion these days. You've got, you know, more sweatpants and things like that. But
well, I'm thinking back to like, you know, really bold colors, kind of the Y2K vibes, huge belts, really vibrant colors.
Oh, no. we went through. So I started, as I say, like 1978. I started at Dawson, 77 actually, and it was jeans and jean jackets and
I mean,
a pack of smokes.
I've looked up some of the pictures because you can look up like the old pictures from like Dawson, but they had like their jeans. Wasn't there like?
Well, you had bell bottom jeans. Yeah, there were bell bottoms.
That was big.
But the hippie craze was actually in the 1960s.
It was a little before.
Yeah, it was. The tie dye and all that stuff.
The residues of
but
that.
then what did happen though was like the 80s came around, right? And in the 80s, people started wearing white shirts and wearing leather pants, and then we had thin leather ties. I remember those days. Like there's a band called the Romantics. Okay, you still hear them on the radio nowadays. Anyway. They were, sort of dressed like that, and I had this huge, poofy, curly hair, and this white tie, and a red leather tie, and white shirt. Always had my jeans.
Was it one pair? Just the one?
No,
pair?
yeah, that's all I had. Yeah. Actually, I had like 8 red ties and 8 white shirts, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
But no, that's kind of what people did, and you'd see it at the club scene as well. Like around those in those days, David Bowie, for instance, he was this glam guy, and then he came out all of a sudden. He had very wide lapels. So I think the transition of fashion, not so much in the late 70s, but in the 1980s, the early 80s, that's when things sort of really changed because you had this new age influence that was coming in, and disco was dying off, and it was being replaced with this new wave kind of stuff. Funky Town was playing in the background a lot, stuff like that.
And actually, you mentioned music. I would love to touch on that as well. First
Sure.
of all, Ella, I'm not hearing a lot from you on what is your music taste?
Oh God, that's a great question. I mean, I listen to I don't even know, I do like some of the Taylor Swift stuff, but that's like a really hot take, but that's not like my favorite thing. I'm really into Conan Gray.
Yeah,
Love Conan Gray.
okay.
That's like my favorite. Olivia Rodrigo as well.
Mm-hmm.
More recently though, I listen to on Spotify my Discover Weekly. So I don't really know who the people are. I just know the songs. But there's one band that's Flip Turn, but nobody knows who they are. I think they're Canadian. No, they're from California. Or I'm not sure if you guys know Sam Fender, but he's this it's actually funny because we're talking about the 80s rock movement. He's kind of taking from the 70s 80s punk rock vibe that was specifically in the UK, and he's kind of brought that back a little bit, but a little different. And Olivia Dean, who just won a Grammy, actually love Olivia Dean. She actually did a collab with Sam Fender. But I think that is my music taste. But when I was a kid more, all the stuff you used to play, I used to listen to a lot. Same thing with my mom, a lot of David Bowie, a lot of Coldplay, U2, all of that. Who else did you like? The Rolling Stones. You like the Rolling Stones a lot, right? Yeah.
And what do you think of her music taste now as well?
I think music. Music is, it's universal, right? I like Taylor Swift.
His favorite Taylor Swift song is "You Belong with Me." He actually, we went to the concert and he was very happy to hear the song live. So yeah.
If you get down to it, music it's tribal, right? You're in the womb and you hear the heartbeat. Okay, and that's the beat of the drum. And you look back to tribal music. When I was at the radio station, I worked with this guy, Daniel Feist, who was the production manager at Shome. And he and I put a course together where we were teaching studio production. And then he later went on and did an African beat kind of show. Okay. And, he was talking about how all of this music, it comes from within, right? So when you hear a good beat, you sort of groove to it. It's kind of universal. So the music of today, I think, is pretty good. There seems to be an emphasis on, single artists, not so much the band sort of thing going on, you know, like the Justin Bieber and the Conan Grays and all of that.
Yeah. I mean, I think one thing I really like about like older music is that there's just like that like grainy feel, because there's no auto-tune, there's no cleaning, like everything's done like all of the like the equalizing or whatnot, all the technical stuff was like actual machines you have. It wasn't just like a laptop and like like what GarageBand. Like.
Well, if you listen to the Beatles. What they used to do, and you know we do some of this in the recording studio as well, is you would take a piece of tape, you'd record something on it, and then you would loop it through with a bit of a delay. So you'd take it, you'd put it, you know, stitch it together, and then you play it. You have a slight delay, and the same thing would get recorded over and over and over again, and then you had this oscillating sort of almost like wind in the background, you know. They used to do this type of stuff all the time, but as you say, it was all done by hand. Now, you know, you've got MIDI players and things like that. You know, I play guitar. I've got a pedal. I just program some stuff in, get whatever sound I want. You know.
But I mean, I guess it makes music a lot more accessible. It's like back in the day, like that stuff was expensive. But I mean, it also means that like there's a lot of good artists out there nowadays that like are just kind of like not being seen, because it's like an oversaturated like thing now. Like I feel like everyone knows someone who's making music. Yeah. So like, whether it's good or bad, who knows? But yeah.
Yeah, and artists actually used to make money selling records, you know. Nowadays they don't do that, so they're relying on touring, and then you look at the price of
it's not even
tickets.
It's not even the I don't even think the tickets is what makes money. From what I remember at some point hearing that it's like primarily like selling merch nowadays. Yeah. They go on tour, they sell merch because like the price of the ticket is just like the venue. It's like charging you crazy amounts. Yeah. I mean,
so anyway, you know, getting back to like my taste in music, very eclectic. On my radio shows, I used to play a lot of rock, because they called me, you know, Bobby D or Rock and Rob, and I was a rock guy, and so I played a lot of, you know.
He actually has his license plate says Bobby D on it.
Yeah, that's my handle.
You paid extra for that one, yeah.
Anyway, so yeah, like Ian Hunter, David Bowie, the Rolling Stones, but I would also play, you know, like Nat King Cole, you know, and some Frank Sinatra, because I thought there were some really good songs there, you know, and I felt, okay, maybe I can introduce some people to that. And then there was a song, Nat King Cole, that I would, you know, often sign off on, and it was called Walking My Baby Back Home, which was a real good song. And but you know, I liked all kinds of music, and I, you know, I've seen so much. My God, from the Beach Boys, Chicago Electric Light Orchestra, you know, to the Toto days, the demise of the Rolling Stones, April Wine here in Montreal. And you used to buy tickets, you know, it would cost like $6.
Yeah.
I'd go to Place des Nations, $6. I'd see Pagliaro and BTO for $6 at a beautiful outdoor concert venue, and you know, you could afford it. It was really good. So it was accessible, you know.
Yeah, I mean, it's still accessible nowadays if like you're okay with being broke, but
it's accessible to listen to music now more than it was before, but to actually go see the artist is so different.
I mean, even like smaller artists, like nowadays I'm like, oh, the show's like $40, like great, but that, like you're saying like $6, I'm like, that's never happening.
Yeah, well, $6 then is what today, you know, like
I guess,
I mean.
But I mean, even
$6.50.
You know, but even like 10 years ago, like pre-COVID, like I think COVID, especially after that, like tickets skyrocketed.
Yeah, there was a big shift.
There's like this dynamic pricing thing now, where like prices go up depending on the demand, and it's like
There's also the whole Ticketmaster thing.
Oh my God, yeah, Ticketmaster sucks. I mean, no, like just recently, like, cause I'm not sure if you guys heard that like Tame Impala's coming into town. So I did like the pre-sale thing, and I'm like bracing myself, like in a week's time I'm gonna have to like wait in the stupid queue and probably not get tickets, like.
Yeah, well, that's what I tried for Taylor.
Oh my God.
However long ago that was.
Oh my God.
I sat in so many pre-sales. I signed up with so many different phone numbers, different emails, as many as I could.
I just signed up with one, and I just got it, and then like.
For Toronto?
Yeah, and I had to get, like, my mom to do it because I was, like, at work. So she had to, like, take my phone while I was at work. And she was, like, panicking because she didn't know what to do. And it's like, oh, my God, it was such a... But somehow she ended up getting tickets. We went to Toronto. That was
a good time, yeah.
We dressed him up because we had to do, like, the dress-up thing. So I was, like, in the You Belong With Me, like, PJ outfit. And we put him in, like... a beret for like the torching post. I'm pretty sure he was wearing like this exact same outfit with a beret.
Exactly, but anyway, pretty close.
But,
yeah.
Well, that was a good concert.
You had good seats. We were way up.
Just to prove how absurd the whole Ticketmaster thing is now, I didn't end up getting any pre-sale codes or anything for Toronto or Vancouver, but I was kind of scanning through the ticket prices afterwards to see if maybe I can snipe a good resale price. So I ended up looking at some of the Europe dates and prices and noticed that they're significantly cheaper than the ones here in Canada.
Yes, it's because, I mean, I'm pretty sure, like, I would assume a part of it is that, like, in Europe, there is so many more, like, there's so many more places in the same vicinity. You can travel with those, like, the bullet trains or whatever, the really fast trains, so you can go, like, if you can't get the one in Paris, go to, like, I don't know, like...
Well, I think it's also a question of regulation.
Yeah.
You know, according to, well, the way things work legally anyway, if something is not regulated, then, you know, it's a free-for-all until somebody complains about it, and then they say, hey, wait a minute, let's look at this.
Well, it's been complained about for sure, the Ticketmaster scandals with all of the bots are buying out all of the tickets.
But I'm pretty sure, like, I've seen, like, the I don't know, like in the U.S. there's like the politician people like interviewing the Ticketmaster things, but nothing ever comes out of it. The prices are still ridiculous.
Well, in my day, if you wanted tickets, you had to go line up 2 days in advance outside at the Forum across the street here, because that's where, you know, most of the concerts were.
I mean, wait, but back in the day, the Forum, that's where the Canadians were playing when you were here, right?
Yeah. The Montreal Canadiens played there.
Yeah, concerts there, and now it's our classes.
Yeah, exactly. And they give you, like, you know, a paper ticket. You know?
What was seeing sports like back then? Was it still so many people in the same stadium?
Oh yeah, it was amazing. Actually, when you wanted to go see a hockey game, say Saturday, I remember one time my dad says, let's go see a hockey game. You know, it's like Saturday afternoon. I was like, okay, let's go. So we go there, you get there, I don't know, about an hour before the game, and they had standing room tickets. So you pay, I think it was like $1.50, something like that. And you would get in, and you would stand right behind the Reds. You had this guy with a trumpet blaring all kinds of noise, which was a lot of fun. The place was jammed. And I mean, we were looking at legends. Like Larry Robinson actually used to live on my street.
Wow.
So, we'd see Larry Robinson. I'd see Jean Béliveau, Guy Lafleur, Henri Richard.
Back in the day when they were still winning.
Ken Dryden, you know, playing in nets. My God, insane. Gump Worsley, like, that's way back, you know.
I mean, I think one thing is actually because when I used to be at the Forum, it's actually really fun. The McDonald's that's here apparently used to be the most the most popular McDonald's in the world.
Really?
Because it was right outside where the Montreal Canadiens were playing. So it was the busiest McDonald's in the world. And then, I mean, they moved to Bell Center, and now they lose all the time, so nobody really goes anyway.
Yeah,
so.
you wanna talk stories? Better have another podcast because I can give you a lot of stories. But that was McDonald's number 4,000, and everybody was super excited when it came on, and it was the highest grossing McDonald's in the entire McDonald's network.
Wow.
Yeah. Now it's, what is it? The homeless place?
Well, no. Well, I think it moved. The McDonald's moved across the street. Now I think it's turned into a homeless shelter, and there's also like the Staples in that area or whatever.
Yeah, the bus terminal was across the street. The metro line ended at Atwater.
The metro line ended at Atwater.
Yeah.
Oh wow, there was no metro. A very short metro.
Well, I went. Yeah, pretty much. I remember the day it opened. My dad, you know, took us and we went on the metro the day it opened, and everybody had these fedora hats on, you know, it was like a Sunday or something. Yeah. And anyway, there was a big wall right at Atwater, no trains beyond that point. That's where it ended, yeah.
See, I can't imagine that. Like, I go, because then now I just hop on the metro and I go to like McGill or something. Yeah. Go to Concordia to get your books, like.
We're not talking 2 weeks ago here, you know. It's a long time ago. Yeah,
it was pre-orange line, pre-blue line, any other line but the green line.
One line. Well, no, they had two lines because You go down to Barrie, and from there you can cross over to Longueuil, and you would stop at Manana's World, and that's where the World's Fair was in 1967. Yeah.
And how were the buses then? Were the buses similar, or?
Well, the buses were big round buses. It's kind of crazy because when you had a snowstorm, they had this big bumper in the back, you know, and you could hook yourself onto the bumper, and you would skate behind the bus.
Oh,
you know?
I've seen that in movies, but I
Yeah, well, you know, I lived it.
I
lived it. We used to do that.
Telling that
My God, we'd be like 15 kids on the back of the bus, you know. We'd have one guy, we'd wait in the bushes, okay, and then one guy would stop the bus. Oh, I'm waiting for the 196, not the 191. Oh, okay, so then we would all run out of the bushes, and then we'd hook on this thing, and then we'd go. And then we'd be trying to push each other off the back, you know. So when you had a good...
That's one hell of a hazard.
Yeah, and you know, the parents it was like you'd get up in the morning, you'd take off, and your parents, see you later. Not like today's helicopter parents, you know, where they're on top of you. I mean, you get tracked, you know, with your cell phone. Everybody knows where you are and all.
I mean, I track you and Mom now. I'm like, where are you guys at the store? I need stuff from Costco.
Yeah, I know. Every time I'm at Costco, ping, get me some dumplings.
Yeah.
Something like that. Anyway, yeah. So yeah, the buses were like that. There weren't as many. We had no express buses until probably, you know, the 80s, that kind of thing. And when I went to Dawson, we would get off at Lionel Guru, and then just walk up. You know, it was just up the street there. No problem.
Because it was, you guys didn't even have to take the metro to Atwater. It was just one little quick walk.
Yeah, but as we walked from the bus to Selby, we'd walk by the Imperial Tobacco Factory, and they made cigarettes there. Okay. And every so often, I don't know, they'd have to off-gas or something. The place would, was crazy. You look in the window and there's like machines making tons and tons and tons of cigarettes, and all these people with white hats. And then it'd smell really weird. And then after a while, there's another company that started up, and they were making confectionaries or something like that. So when the cigarette smell would die down, you'd smell strawberries in the air. It was crazy. And you know, you're talking about different campuses. I think there were like 7 or 8 campuses. So you had
there was almost like 10.
There were a lot, yeah.
Yeah.
We had the Lucas Building, corner of Green and St. Antoine. You had the Selby campus, and then about 4 blocks down, past Imperial Tobacco, was the Richelieu campus.
There was also the Victoria campus, which was for visual arts.
Victoria campus was, I think, at 485 McGill.
And then there was, I was looking at, there was also Berry UQAM. That's what, like, where you had all of the gym classes. They had shuttle buses to go to gym class, apparently.
I took a gym class, like a weight training class down on Sherbrooke Street near LaFontaine Park. Wow. That was LaFontaine campus. We had a campus at Vigier as well. There was one in St. Henry for the arts. So everything was all over the place. And it's interesting, you know, like the government today is, you know, cutting back funding to the CGIP and all that. So I was listening to this broadcast that I did, you know, way back when, and one of the articles I had read over the air was that the Quebec government was going to make a decision whether to close Dawson or not.
Oh, wow.
Back in the day, and they had deferred that decision pending, you know, a review. Obviously, they didn't close it, but you know, Dawson is still feeling some of the same pressures. At the time, it was the Parti Québécois government. This was before the referendum.
I mean, you lived that. You lived that.
Oh my God,
referendum.
Yeah.
Sometimes I forget that, like, you've lived before me.
Yeah, the referendum, it was really cool in those days because when I went to McGill, I used to see Pierre Trudeau after he was Prime Minister. Yeah. He retired, he was a lawyer working at Heenan Blakey law firm, and I would see him walking down the street as I was walking up to McGill, and I'd say, "Hello, Mr. Trudeau," and he would say hi to me because I'd see him so often, you know. And during the night of the referendum, my brother and I went down to the Paul Sauvé Arena, and we met up with Jean Chrétien and Claude Ryan, who was the leader of the Quebec Liberal Party. And then there's that picture of my mother. This is interesting too. Like, everybody was so accessible in those days. There's a picture of my mother I took while we were skating on the Rideau Canal in Ottawa, and here she is shaking hands with Brian Mulroney, who had just been elected Prime Minister. So yeah, so it was kind of crazy.
Yeah.
I would imagine technology makes us all more connected and accessible now, but
Well,
it seems like having such a tight-knit community and just seeing each other in person fosters a lot more connection.
Like, I was listening, it was like a few days, because it was Social Science Week like a few days ago, and I was like listening to a thing, and it's like, it is true that like back in the day, everyone was more connected in the sense that you had to see people to speak to them. You had like a more like bigger sense of trust, for instance, because like it's not just people on your phone. You can't just start like online internet beef and stuff like that. You like had like face-to-face beef. So it's like you were just, I don't know. I think that's one thing that I like, and you hear it all the time, that like we're disconnected from each other because of our phones, but like it's true. Like there's a whole like lack there, and I mean, there's some cool stuff that we have here at Dawson. We have like the Dawson Confessions, the Doss Huzz, and all of that you guys like. But I mean, I think.
Well, there are pluses and minuses, right? It was very easy to avoid people as well. You know, like, you just didn't answer the phone, kind of thing. But right now, I find that social media, you know, this continuous connectivity is very stressful.
Yeah.
You know, I mean. You hear a ping on your phone, I have to answer it, you know, and you're getting pinged all the time. You're getting pinged in the middle of the night. There's this tendency to, the FOMO, right? You want to, what is that? You know, that kind of stuff going on. Whereas before, you know, I mean, the global population is about twice as it used to be when I was a kid, you know. So there's a lot more going on, a lot of stress. You got all these migration issues and everything else going on, but the technology is bringing all that together, and you know, the positives are I can communicate with friends from high school and maintain those relationships, and I got a buddy who lives in Halifax, and hey, we're gonna plan our next hiking trip and stuff like that. It's very easy to do, but on the other hand, you know, it's almost invasive, you know. You got all these algorithms that are trying to get your eyeballs on their screens and trying to suck you into a rabbit hole, you know, that kind of thing. And you know, I'm sort of guilty of it because I run a company that relies very heavily on media. So we're doing social media and stuff like that, but you know, I empathize with.
I mean, at some point I went on like an intensive retreat class, and they took my phone away. That was the best 3 days of my life.
Oh yeah.
Like, it's something you take for granted, I guess. It's something that's like, but I mean, it's also, I think one thing that is cool is like the whole access to information. Like, you can stay up to date, but it is true, it is stressful with the world kind of crumbling around you. Well, it's stressful.
If the world's crumbling around you, you know, it's fine to maybe ignore that and learn about the crumbling after it's happened, you know. I've done a lot of work with Scouts Canada, taking kids on camping trips and stuff like that. I've been doing it for many years. And what we do is say, okay, keep your electronics at home. And the kids, you know, they moan about that, but on Sunday evening when they come home, they're like, wow, this is great, because you actually get to sit down and connect with nature, connect with the fire, the campfire. You're cooking your meals out in the woods, and you don't have to worry about, you know, am I getting my next email and stuff like that.
Yeah, that definitely makes sense.
Yeah.
I feel that a lot too. I went camping with my family not too long ago.
Right.
We still had our phones and stuff with us, but like I tried not to use mine as much personally. We were right by the water, so one of my favorite things was just sitting by the rocks and just enjoying the waves as they were coming. And that really is one of the things I remember most from that camping trip.
Yeah.
But you know, one thing that's made me think, because I'm thinking about like phone sound, I'm like, imagine being here with like out your phone and like trying to find your friends in the building, and like you're like, where are you? And they're like, you can't do that anymore. But now I'm like trying to think, I'm like, how would you find?
You would have to
you
plan
just-
it before, I guess.
You bump into them, you know. Most of the time they were in the cafeteria getting ready to play cards, you know. This is where you would meet.
Well, I mean, I guess that still happens. That's one thing that hasn't changed. I've physically bumped into people sometimes.
That's real.
You know, I mean, teenagers and young adults are young adults, right? They're gonna have the same tendencies. I mean, it's not like, you know, we were different types of creatures, right? We're.
I mean, I feel like sometimes that's hard to forget. Like, you guys look different. You guys spoke different. You guys
Listen to different music.
Yeah.
But
I mean, I guess we're all the same.
It's really interesting because, you know, I'm getting ready for this, I guess. I was sort of reminiscing about all this stuff, and what occurred to me was that sure, we have technology that's different, and my level of experience in the world, etc., is certainly different. But when I go on the street where I grew up, I mean, the houses all look the same. Everything kind of looks the same. Maybe the bushes and trees are a little bigger, but the world hasn't changed that much, It's not like there's been quantum leaps in evolution and all of a sudden, we're communicating with our brains through, I don't know, our auras or something like that. We're all pretty much the same as we were. We have the same needs and desire for, compassion, love, belonging, all of that. And wanting to be part of something, just like you have this club here. We had the same level of camaraderie when I was involved with the radio station. People wanted to get together and experience new things and discover who they were in anticipation of what the next page will bring. So
I mean, I guess it's not really that much different. So.
Well, that's why I say you and I are very much the same.
Yeah. I mean, yesterday he was trying to compare. He was like, I got involved in communications. You're involved in communications. Because he also did a psychology degree, and I want to go get a psychology degree, and I'm like, oh god, we are the same person.
I think it's a good thing.
Yeah, but he always tries to get me to because I also play guitar and he plays guitar, and he's constantly trying to get me to jam with him.
She doesn't want to jam.
I don't want to jam.
Why don't you want to jam?
Because I'm a solo act. I'm not a band. It's like you were saying, there's a lack of bands. I'm not a band.
Oh, whatever.
So it's similar. There are differences, but it's still similar.
Yeah. We look similar. We act similar. Talk similar. He has glasses. I have glasses.
Same thing. Yeah. Sure. So
anyway.
Thank you very much for both of you for your time. That was great. I loved hearing about the differences and the similarities and what life was like.
Yeah. I'd like to thank you for the opportunity,
I think this made him very happy.
Yeah, we're happy to take on your legacy, to continue what it's like here at Dawson.
Well, it brought back so many great memories, and while I was listening to the tapes, it's uncanny. I mean, I remembered so many details that, had, I guess, suppressed or forgotten about, and to the point where I could almost smell what it was like in the room, in the studios, and this whole concept of when we had to build the studios, and just hanging out, and the friends that we had, and the good times. We had really great times at Dawson.
Do you have any final words of wisdom?
Final advice for the kids?
Advice. Hey, follow your passions, And you don't really know where life's going to take you, Like I didn't do that well in high school. I went to Dawson on the extended plan.
4 years.
I was always really good at dropping my courses on time, so I'd maintain my academic standing. But I respected authority, and that was great. So I got into the radio station. I wanted to get into broadcasting, and then it was like, no, that wasn't going to work. So then I said I wanted to make documentary films. So I really got into the National Film Board and stuff like that. I did not get accepted into communication studies at Concordia. I guess I wasn't, off the wall enough. Anyway, so I got involved with the radio station there. I took psychology, and then from there I went into business. Worked for multinational for about 13 years, and then started my own business. And here we are in the internet age, putting websites together, working on Amazon and stuff like that. And this, from a kid who liked to take pictures. I took photo courses. I used to teach photography way back when, stuff like that, So you don't really know where you're going to go. And the other thing is, and I tell this to a lot of people, is that, there's no rush, right? A lot of people think that, I got to get out of CJEP, go to university, get a job, and, get out there right away. And, I took my time in CJEP, Because CGIP is a place where you really want to discover who you are, because going through the developmental process through adolescence, it's tough. You don't know what the rules are, and you don't know if what you're thinking is appropriate. Is this how I should be? So there's this self-discovery thing. And I took that psychology in university as an arts program. You look at the constants in life, right? Arts, learning how to read and write and express yourself properly. There's nothing wrong with an arts degree. There's this whole emphasis on, science and everything like that.
That's a lot of words of wisdom.
Yeah, well, what I'm saying is, take your time, follow your passions.
Build your own road. Create your own journey.
Exactly, and the pages are going to turn.
Yeah.
And sure, you're going to go down this way. Oh, it's not where I want to be. Great, there's always another road. It's going to bring you to where you ultimately end up. And
I think where you end up is where you're meant to be then. Yeah.
Pretty much, because you're going to make those decisions to do something different if that's what you choose, and you're going to decide based on, what it is that inspires you. So, just take your time and chill.
Do what you want.
Yeah,
Chill.
yeah,
That's the last word.
Chill.
Chill, everyone. Everyone needs to chill.
Anyway,
good
thanks
message.
a lot. Thanks a lot.
Thank you both.
Thank
To
you.
our viewers, to our audience, go ahead and check out maybe some old episodes of the podcast and old episodes of the radio if you can find any recordings anywhere.
Yeah, well, you want some?
You can play.
Well, some of them are,
Interesting.
not exactly politically correct, but yeah, it was a different time. But let me see here. Okay, let's see
You can play
here.
the one with your intro.
My intro.
Your intro, I like that one. That one was good.
Which intro was that?
I don't know. There's it was you speaking in I don't know.
Okay, well, let's see here.
Oh, there's so many.
Here's one. Ian Hunter. This is.
University programs and requirements for your use. Now, they want you to go down and do some reading. The vocational center is located in the counseling area of your campus. Well, it's a Wednesday night in Montreal, and what a beautiful day it was. It was 21 degrees, and that can be translated into about 71 Fahrenheit for all you people who aren't in tune with the metric know-how these days. Right now, a little music from Ian Hunter. Hey, once bitten, twice shy on CFKS Radio Selby in Montreal.
That's awesome. I'm so glad you still have those.
Oh yeah.
He was in the garage recording them all.
All right.
There's more where that comes from.
Well, thank you again
Yes.
for the final
It's a
time.
pleasure.
It's great to meet you guys.
Likewise.
Handshakes.
And thank you for listening. We'll see you guys next time on The Vine.